Hi, I'm Vicki Cook, and we're going to talk about learner-centered classrooms. Things are much different in the world today in education. Let's just say that when I was a child, we sat in desks in straight rows, and we sat and listened to our teacher do lecture-style teaching for about an hour, and then we would get a stack of worksheets to do. Well, today's schools, however, the teacher is more of a facilitator and encourages the student to be a learner of what they want to find out and learn about. We continue to have our standards of which we base the learning, but now we as teachers teach the information through mini lessons, and our learners research and gather information and learn based on their level and at their own pace. An example of learner-centered projects to begin with for teachers is to become comfortable with this style is a genius hour. To encourage the learners to choose their own topic, give them some parameters that they need to fulfill in order for their projects to be presented, and let the learner research and truly learn what they want to find out about their topic and have the feeling of ownership as they directed their own personal learning. PBL's, project-based learning units, can also allow the learner to direct their end project after they have been shown and taught about the standards, and that gives them a base knowledge for what they want to achieve and what their end product is. Modules in online learning can give the learner the ability to control the pace at which they move through the modules and the knowledge that they gain. Once they've achieved the standards learned, then they can move to the next step or the next module and learn the next standard. At Cowden, we have changed our way of thinking to really consider, how does the learner learn? What can help their ability to learn? We decided that first, we like to be comfortable. I mean, how many of us have sat in a staff meeting and truly enjoyed sitting in a hard chair at a table in rows? We don't. So we decided that flexible seating would be introduced. In order to accomplish this building-wide, we knew it wasn't in the budget to go on a spending spree with catalogs and try and figure out what would work. So we started hitting the streets. We found items that would benefit our classrooms and not bust our wallets. Kitchen tables, benches, beanbags, and other items that others had outgrown their use or were getting rid of, but would be perfect for our classrooms. We added paint, material, new padding, etc. to make them be pretty and exciting for our students to come into. We then took into account when the learner might learn different subjects at different times, which would be flexible scheduling. With our specials based on our master schedule, not all classes were able to try flexible scheduling at the beginning. However, for the ones that have, the learners were able to choose when they would have their math and literacy mini lesson. The students knew that they were going to have the mini lesson. They just were able to choose, do I want the mini lesson in the early morning for math and then do literacy before lunch, or do I want literacy early in the morning and then math before lunch? We have a blended 3 through 5 STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math unit that lasts 1 hour per week for approximately 6 weeks. The learners were able to sign up for the STEAM unit of their choice based upon their class dojo points. But the main one I want to talk about in this final project is our Canvas math modules. Our math modules are based on student learning. The learners begin based on their knowledge and can work at their own pace so they feel accomplishment and pride in the knowledge that they have learned the standard before moving on to the next one. Let's talk with the creators of these math modules.
So the math modules that we came up with kind of stemmed from the fact that when we were teaching math in a more traditional way, we saw that there were many students who never really grasped the kind of the base content of what they needed to know. And so then when we would continue with some of the more advanced lessons throughout the year, they couldn't ever catch up. There wasn't a way for them to catch up with the skills that they didn't understand the first time around. And so we wanted to make math more personalized to each of the students. And so by creating these math modules, they have the opportunity to work more at their own pace And as they're working at their own pace, we can really individualize our instruction to the kids that are struggling on certain topics. And we can see that right away. And so then we can pull just those kids aside and we can give them more intervention and we can teach them in a different way to help move them along at a rate that's going to be more appropriate for them. And we figure that by the end of the year, at least they will have learned more things than they probably would have with teaching math in a traditional way, because they will have at least gotten those base skills that they needed.
So our math time used to look like a traditional classroom. We would have a big mini lesson or a lesson with a group, and then we would break into stations and do small groups and constantly planning for that. Eventually we flipped the classroom. We had the kids work on watching videos first before we met with them in groups. And then our transition to modules made it even better. So now the kids have a list of where they are on the board for the math modules, and we can see where they're tracking and follow along with how they're doing. So our regular math day starts with us all gathering on the carpet, looking who needs to start where. They do a few minutes of Dreambox, and then I'm busy the entire time. I'm constantly looking for groups that need assistance in small groups. I'm looking for individuals who are stuck if they're not moving very quickly, or if they've not done very well on a project or an assignment. I can meet with them individually and give them feedback. And the great thing about that is they're getting instant feedback right when they do something, one-on-one with the teacher or through Canvas. And so we're not waiting to grade a stack of papers on the weekend, a big long stack that then we have to come back to school and backtrack and try to help kids when they're trying to learn something new. So we're meeting kids right where they need to be, when they need to be there. What we've noticed is that students, when they do benchmark tests, when they do things like iReady, the ones that are really pushing through the modules and making lots of progress are making huge gains. And then students that are slower are obviously staying where they are. So it's really matching their progress. And we're able to look at data all the time on their quizzes and Canvas, on their projects, and really tailor our learning to exactly what they need.
What is involved in a math module? Well, first, to take a pretest. The results will give the students the knowledge of what they already know about the standard and what information they still need to learn. It also gives the teacher the same information. Second, after the pretest, the student will then move to the next section of the module, which is the learning section. The learning section will either explain the standard based on words listed or pictures, or it'll give the students a corrective way to gain the knowledge. Maybe they're doing it one way and it should be done a different step model or a different way of doing it, or even it'll just confirm what they already know. This learning is usually in the form of videos. It can also have pictures and words, but we have found that with the videos, the students really understand better. The videos will come from a variety of sources on the internet, such as Khan Academy, Brain Pop, and another source website, or maybe even created by the teacher herself. So the information can be given to the learner to comprehend the standard. When the learner feels that they have absorbed this information, they will move to the third step of the module. The third step is testing their knowledge with online games. Just about every standard in math has online games that can confirm the knowledge the learner has achieved. Different teachers have a requirement of how many games or how long the learner should play each game to confirm what they have learned. Step 4 is the mini project. The mini project is similar to a homework assignment, but instead of having students complete multiple pages of worksheets, we feel it's important to bring the knowledge that they are learning into the real-world situations. This may range from a variety of problems for the learner to teach to a fellow classmate in a video. This is one way that the teacher can use and add maybe to the learning portion of the module for future learners. It also could be a game that the learner made based on their math. Maybe there's some problems that they can use, and when they answer the problems, then that number is the number of steps that they'll take on the board game. The student has to make the board game, make the problems, and then teach to a fellow classmate, and then actually play that game with a classmate. Now, why would they do that? Well, to me, it would help that the classmate can then give feedback to the learner who created the game and then they can improve that game and then play it again later. Last in the module is the test. It is usually a 10-question test over the standard and will show what the learner has mastered. If the student scores a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, then they can move to the next module discussing a different standard. However, if they score an 8 out of 10 or below, then they will meet with the teacher in a small group to have a mini lesson of the subject matter. This way, the student can have another form of learning. If the student still doesn't understand, then they can meet with the co-teacher either in another small group or can have a one-on-one conference mini lesson. The learner can also attend the small group before the mini project or test if they do not understand the idea or the concept itself. Another form of conferencing we have found that works is to meet with another learner that has achieved and is confident in their knowledge of the standard. These learners will conference together, and because we all well know that students learn from other students, it also gives both learners the joy of sharing their knowledge with each other. We want our learners to be confident in their knowledge before they move on to the next standard.
Welcome to Cowden! We are in night school. Let me show you some of the exciting things we do. Follow me. Math time, perfect time. We are on my math module right now, and this is what we do on our math module. First, we have a pre-quiz. To learn, the teachers have to kind of know what we know about the module first before we even do it, so they know what they can teach us and what I need to learn. Then we go on to the learning. This is learning about multiplication and arrays. So we go on to learning and learn about it. Like online videos, tutors on the site, and maybe even the online math book. That is how we learn about what we're going to do. And then we go on to games, which helps us practice. There's no check mark here because it's just helping you practice. And then you go on to the mini project, which helps the teachers know what you've learned so far and what they can help you with before you go on to the post quiz. The mini project. Well, the mini project is kind of like homework. We do a lot of different things on the mini projects, like submit videos to teach other kids, make pictures to show angles what you've learned, and sometimes you even take pictures and submit them to Canvas. Now, we're going on to the post quiz. This is what helps you to get through the module and go on to the next one. This is what they know for the basic how you did. The post quiz is also for a grade. If you don't score high enough, you go in a small group or one-on-one with the teacher. It helps you get used to and help you meet the standard of the module.
Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my final project.